It's been 1 year since I left prison, and all day I've been trying to rack my brain for what to say. How does one synthesize a year after prison? How do I piece everything together so that there's a concise whole, so that there's some message? And I don't know that I can. The first thing I thought of was bedrock, hitting rock bottom, climbing upward out of that. And then I thought about my first days in prison when I wrote. And I wrote about everything falling apart. I had lost my daughter. I had lost everything. Well, it felt like everything. And there I was in a heap, in 1,000 pieces of barely myself. I was shards of myself. I had been completely shattered and broken into tiny bits and pieces, and I questioned everything I knew. In the letters that I wrote in my first weeks of prison, I doubted everything. I questioned everything. It was like Alice in Wonderland, not knowing which way was up or down or backward or forward, and nothing making sense and everything being nonsense. And then I thought about silence and how I became insular and isolated, and how that gave space for such wonderful growth and for such wonderful change. And I thought about how breakouts come from breakthroughs, which come from breakdowns. And when I think about my first day in prison and the 740 days that happened between the first day and the last day, I can't even reconcile that with the past year. In the more than 2 years that I was in prison, I found myself. I remembered who I was. I found who I was. I found myself. And it was only there that I could have done that. And in this past year, life has been so good. It has been challenging and so very rewarding. And there's really no way to summarize it. It's like it's a dream. It's like it happened, but it didn't happen. It's like some alternate reality, like in Back to the Future, or so many sci-fi stories that are about one person suddenly finding themselves in an alternate universe where it's their life but not their life. And that was prison. And today I wonder what my victim's family is doing, if they're thinking about it, if it's an anniversary for them, as it is for me. And it's been almost 4 years since George died. He died in November of 2015, and it's now September of 2019. And I think about the passing of time and how that dulls pain, but it never removes the scars. I think about the incidences that happened in my life that led to me going to prison. Leaving an abusive spouse, having staples taken out of my scalp, losing myself, finding myself. And what I know to be true is that a life lived with eyes wide open is so much better than trying to stuff things down. I know that there's no shame in who I am. I'm not proud of causing the death of a man. I'm not proud of going to prison, but I am proud of what I've done with it. I'm proud of how I stood up in the aftermath of that. I'm proud that I took something from it, that I learned lessons through it, that I didn't let it take me down, but rather I helped myself get lifted up because of it. And I know that no matter what anyone has done, nothing is unforgivable. And I know that we all have the potential to grow, to change, to rise up, to stand on that bedrock and climb out. And I know that life is so much more beautiful after you hit the bedrock and you're able to walk back up. I spent 740 days in prison, and before that I was in jail for about a month. It's been 365 days since I left that chapter, since I closed it, since I moved on. I also think of the law of thermodynamics, that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And I imagine the series of events from the last night of my marriage that left me bleeding to death in a driveway to a few months later when I caused a car accident that led to the death of a man. And then I think of prison, and then I think of now. And I think of the depth of the lowness that I went to that depth of darkness where there is no light, where there's no respite, there's no break, there's no escaping it. And how I had to sit in that darkness, sit with myself, face my own ghosts, face my own skeletons, my own secrets, my own fears, my own shame. And I had to find my own light and crawl out of it until I was standing. And I think of how proud I am that at the beginning of my prison stay, I was so afraid of it being the thing that defined me. And yet now I'm proud that it is the thing that has defined me, because it has made me a better version of myself. I know myself, and I am better for it. I don't know what more to say other than it's been a year, and it has been the best year of my life. I have worked so hard to accomplish dreams and goals that seemed so far away, and yet I reached them and achieved them, and I am whole again. I am intact. I am in love. I am loved. I am worthy. I am my genuine self, and unapologetically so. And I want to share this because I want to show that there's a next chapter after the darkest one. That no matter what the dark chapter is, whatever the thing that you're ashamed of or shameful for, there's a step after that when it's no longer the thing that defines you. Because for more than 2 years, I was 228651. I was not anything beyond that. And now I couldn't be defined by that if I tried. I am so much more than that, and it is because of that journey through that darkness. It is because I hit that bedrock. It is because I made a huge mistake, but I stood and I rose after it. That I am the person I am today, and I love myself for it. And there's hope, and there's always a next chapter, and it's beautiful, and it's almost overwhelmingly beautiful to think of how good things can be in the aftermath of such darkness. And I am proud that it has been a year since being in prison, and I'm grateful that it has made me so much better. Thank you.